Have you ever wondered why it is that you feel better when you lie down? And that could be with all kinds of different symptoms, whether it is dizziness, whether it's headaches, whether it's other kinds of nerve pressure or pains in other parts of your body. Why is it that you feel better when you lie down? Hi, my name is Dr. Jeffrey Hanna, and I'm what's known as an upper cervical specific chiropractor. In brief, this is somebody who focuses on the relationship between the upper part of the neck and your nerve system. And your nerve system is the part of your body that's responsible for your health, your life, your overall well-being. And what I want to share with you in this particular little video is a relationship between something that's happening in the upper part of the neck and how it can actually be responsible for the kinds of issues that you may experience that, quote, go away or feel better when you lie down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a big fancy term at you, and that term is a chronic cerebrospinal venous insufficiency. That is definitely a mouthful. So let me explain to you what this is. I want you to think first and foremost of my head, more appropriately my brain, whether you think it's working or not, whatever. But in order for a brain to be working properly, it's got to be receiving blood flow up, and it also has to be draining blood back down. So the way that blood is going to go up to the brain, it's going to go there for two primary pathways. The first and major one is going to go up through the front of the neck here, through what are called a pair of carotid arteries. But what you've also got is you've got a pair of arteries that go like this. So this is a fun little model of the head and the neck, and they are illustrated in the bright orange. So what these ones here, these are called vertebral arteries. They're going to go up through the vertebra themselves, and they will actually loop in and around the very top vertebrae, so the C1 and the C2, before they enter into the base of the skull. And even though these arteries, they only supply about a third of all of the blood to your brain, they actually are responsible for essentially for 100% that are going to your brain stem, which controls all of your vital life centers. So very, very important. But this isn't so much a conversation about the blood going to your brain as it is the blood coming back down. And blood is going to be drained out through what are known as veins. And veins, they got really loose and floppy walls. And in fact, the way that blood essentially is drained from your head, from your brain, down back into your heart is going to be just by the force of gravity. And there's going to be two primary pathways, the way that blood is drained out of your head. The first one is going to be through your internal jugular vein, which is going to be located along the front of your throat right here. And it's a pretty big thing, not literally this big, but you get the idea. It's pretty big. And you've also got, where I had shown you where these vertebral arteries are, you also have a pair of veins. And the veins are going to be draining blood from the base of your skull and the brain stem. They're going to unite with a whole bunch of other little veins located here right in the very back of your skull. And then they're going to go right through the top of your neck and then drain out through your neck and then into the heart like this. Now, why do I share that little fun anatomy lesson with you for you? It's because when you are lying down, the preferred pathway is going to be out the internal the jugular veins here. However, when you stand up, because of these muscles and because of gravity, remember I said that veins have loose floppy walls. And so through here, things have the tendency to narrow. Not all the way, mind you. You can still get blood being drained here. But what's going to happen is it means that because this is not going to be quite as open, it means that you're going to have to be, or your brain and your body are going to be needing to rely more on those vertebral veins being able to drain the blood from your head. But what I want you to do now is I want you to imagine the possibility that there's something wrong in the upper part of your neck. It's not broken, it's not dislocated, but it's not moving right. And the result of that is it has shifted the center of gravity of your skull in some way that essentially what it's doing is it's putting pressure, narrowing the opening where those vertebral veins are. The result of that is if you would normally have, for example, an opening this wide through which water is flowing, and then what you're going to do is you're going to narrow it down like this so that it's not able to flow as much as it should. And the consequence of that is that that fluid has the possibility of congesting back up into your skull and into your brain, where it can be producing pressure. This is what is known as the insufficiency, the inability of the system to drain itself out properly. Now, that is what's happening when you are standing up. So the pressure can build. And in fact, there are a number of researchers and hypotheses that are basically wondering, okay, is this the actual mechanism that leads to headaches, dizziness, vertigo, something called Meniere's syndrome, if you have ever heard of that, ringing in the ears. And it's also been associated, or at least hypothesized, with even the development of certain kinds of neurodegenerative conditions, namely the MS, so the multiple sclerosis of a mechanical origin, certain kinds of Parkinsonism, and even certain kinds of dementia, believe it or not, and post-concussion syndrome. The list can just keep going on here. Now, there's nothing definitive, but this is one of the mechanisms that's believed to be involved, is that you have these long-standing issues where blood is not draining out of the brain properly through these cerebrospinal, aka vertebral veins. Now, in the beginning of this video, I said, okay, well, there's a change, and what does this have to do when you're lying down? Well, remember what I said. When you lie down, even if this system here stays congested, then what'll happen when you lie down, the jugular vein opens all the way back up, and the blood is going to drain back out to your heart just fine. In other words, it's able to bypass or shunt, and it doesn't depend on this area, this chokehold anymore, that it's able to properly flow down through other pathways. So, in a nutshell, if you are noticing that you've got certain kind of symptoms that they feel worse, the longer that you are standing and over the course of a day, but that they typically disappear over the course of the evening when you are sleeping or just simply lying back in any position, then I would ask, okay, is it possible that there's actually something up at the very top that's producing a physical blockage, and as the result of that, that the blood flow is not able to go, and what you're essentially feeling then is the accumulation of pressure that ends up affecting your nerve system. Bit of a mouthful, but something very important that I think is worth considering, especially if you have been dealing with some kind of long-standing health issue, but nobody can really figure out what's going on. And if that's the case, what we would encourage you to do then is just entertain the possibility that maybe it's because of an unresolved issue in your neck that nobody up till now has really thought to look at. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video. If you have, I'd firstly encourage you to leave us some comments, and nice ones if you don't mind. If you can think of somebody who would benefit from seeing this video, please do share it with them. But if you'd also like more information, we'd like to encourage you to go to our website, which is atlashealth.com.au, where you can find all kinds of additional videos and all kinds of articles that we've written on these different topics that may be able to help you find the answers that you've been looking for a long time for your own chronic health issues. This is Dr. Jeffrey Hanna at Atlas Health Australia.